beautiful day to be a Raider, draped in the silver and black. I represent the shield. I represent the swords. Oh, you know what time it is, Raider Nation. Oh yeah, you know what time it is. That's why you're here right now. That's why you take a little bit of time out of your evening to join me. Because you know what time it is. Oh yeah, it's time to bring them.
What's up, Raider Nation? I'm the commish coming to you live from Hardcore Challenge Live Studios, deep behind the enemy line. This is Raider Reaction. Tonight, we will be discussing Derek Carr, Megatron, Penn, right tackle, BeastMode, Conley, Edwards Jr., regular season predictions, Vegas update, Pro Bowl, and in the show with my WTH. What's up, Terry? What's up, Alex? Brian? What's up, gentlemen? So, it's a little news in the little Raider news floating about today. What's up, lovely? Taz. So there is a little silver and black news sprinkled about the football world today. Not a yes, Alex, I did too as well, and I was going to touch on that. After Megatron was at the OTAs, him, the offensive coordinator, and DC went out on a little golfing outing. It had been a year, I guess, since Carr had been on the golf course, so supposedly he enjoyed it. Well, actually, it's right here. So. I needed a drink too. It's been a long day. So, speaking of Carr, there's been a lot of talk of him being moved to, or excuse me, not being moved, but him moving a little more to no huddle than used in the previous season, which I think is fabulous, because that gives him a chance to be a little more improvisational, be able to make some moves on the fly, make adjustments at the line a little easier. So I like that. When we did go to it, I thought he was successful. I thought we should have done it a little more, so I'm glad to see there's rumors of them leaning towards more of it this season. So, I'm happy to hear that. That's positive news. And yes, like it was mentioned, Derek, Megatron, Del Rio, and Downing go out and hit the golf course after OTAs. What's up, Karina? And, you know, hey, like I said, DC said it had been a year since he'd been out, and highly enjoyed it. So, nice to see the leader of the team out living a regular, you know, day-to-day, pain-free, doing his thing. No reason at all we should be concerned about the health. I mean, he's basically 100%. He's been 100%, and oh, it's gonna be a beautiful thing this season. It's gonna be a beautiful thing. Now, the man that had over 600 snaps at pass protection, and he only allows one sack, and that one sack is the sack that on a fluke breaks Derek Carr's leg. Now, I mean, this has been eating at Penn every day and every minute since it has happened. And he was injured. He wasn't there for the playoffs. I mean, for a guy that had a year like Penn had last year, and then to have it finish out the way it did, it wasn't his fault Carr got his leg broke. It just happened to be, his guy, but, it was a fluke. It was an absolute fluke break, so. But he's being quoted as saying he's not going to be able to get that bad taste out of his mouth till the season starts. So he get out there and get some action. So I hope he can get out there and make it all better this season. Hope we can make it all better this season. But it's good that he has a little extra motivation and he wants to, he wants to bring it this season. I don't believe it'll happen again either. The offensive line is getting sewn up. And speaking of getting sewn up, we'll touch on the right tackle position. What's up, Dorothy? And it's looking like Marshall Newhouse is the guy who's leading the charge at taking over the right tackle position, which is why they brought him over. He's a big guy. He's a solid guy. They think he'll tie up the right end and anchor it. So that's just a little extra protection, even for Carr. That makes us solid all the way across the line. If we stay healthy, beast mode behind that. Oh my God. That's going to be 13-3. I agree with Stephanie. I'm on the board at 13-3. I'm on the board at 13-3. I agree with Stephanie. I'm trying to be realistic. I would love to say 15-1 and 16-0, and man, I'll love it if I'm wrong. But I'm on 13-3. I'm being realistic. I think we're going to be a little better than last year. I think we are going to win the division. Possibly #1 seed. And obviously we're going to the Super Bowl. I'm going to get to that, Brian. So you just have to stick around. So I'm actually going to get to that here a little later in the program. 14-2. Hey, that's only pulling one more win out than what I'm seeing, so I can see that as doable. Like I said, hey, if I'm wrong, the wrong way, for the positive, then hey, so be it. I'm just trying to be realistic. Looking at the schedule, it's a tough schedule, but I do like the way it lays out. And you know what? Since we're talking about it now, let's just jump ahead and talk about that anyway, because I was going to get into it anyway, so I might as well get into it now. So, when you're looking at the schedule, let's just break it down. Week 1, we go to Tennessee. That's a W. I think the team is going to come in hyped for that game. The season ended on a bad note. Didn't have Carr. Carr's going to be healthy. Carr's going to be jacked. The team's going to be jacked. And I think they're going to play amazing in week 1. I just have a feeling that the start of this season, we are going to come out like a shot. So week 1, I see as a W. Then we get a comeback for the home opener and play the Jets. So that's a 2-0. Because Josh McCown is not coming here. If Josh McCown even survives week 1, Josh McCown is not coming here. And no way. No way. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No way. So that's 2-0. Then you got to go back across the country to play the Redskins. I am not up on the Redskins this season. I see the Redskins as a possibility of finishing last in the NFC East. They got rid of a lot of talent. They got rid of Deshaun Jackson. I don't think Kirk Cousins is solid. And I just don't. No, I don't see it. I don't see it. So that's 3-0. That's 3-0 with 2 wins on the road already. a win at Tennessee, and a win at Washington. Then we come back across the country, but not all the way back to the West Coast. But we stop in Donkeyville in week 4, which I think is the big pivot game of the early part of the season. It's the end of the first quarter of the season, your first quarter of your games, and you're sitting at 3-0. And this is your first division game. And it's the Broncos, the Donks, and it's in their house. So that's a big pivotal game. You're going to come into that 3-0. I know, I thought that was insane. They had like a fire sale this season. How are they supposed to get behind their quarterback and then they go get rid of all of his weapons? I didn't understand that at all. I absolutely agree with you, Brian. The Donkeys go down that game. Now, it's the next 2 games. It's the next 2 games that I believe are going to be a stumbling point at the first part of the season. We're going to come out of the first 4 games, 3 of them being on the road, and we're going to be 4-0. We're going to come off of the big emotional high of going to Denver and taking down the Broncos and being 4-0 and coming back home knowing we're playing at home for 3 games. Either the Baltimore game or the Chargers game, we're going to lose a close one. Something's going to happen, and we're going to drop one there. After that, I see Kansas City. I see the rebound of Kansas City because they're going to be up big for Kansas City. It's the first time we'll see the Chiefs in the season. And I see that one as a definite W. And then we go on the road and play Buffalo and Miami, and I see them taking both of those games. That sends us into the bye week at 8-1. The only loss coming at either the Baltimore or the Chargers game right after the Broncos game when we come back home. I believe there's going to be one of them clunker games. They happen to everybody. You know, it's hard to look at the schedule and try to pick a loss because you never want to pick your team as losing, but you have to look at it realistically. You know, and patterns of the schedule itself and, you know, how many road games and coming off a road game and a divisional game against a divisional rival and the emotions involved and blah, 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 blah. You know, you got to look at it somehow. So, I'm saying they drop one there in one of those 2 games. They're going to, like maybe the Chargers game. Because the Chargers are going to be horrendous by the time they get there. They're going to have a terrible record. And, you know, sometimes the better team just looks over the lesser team on any given Sunday. The Raiders come in at 5-0, 6-0. Playing like a 2-4 team. And maybe they look over them. So, you never know. But somewhere along there, that homestand, I believe we're going to drop one. A close game. One's going to get away from us. And we'll be 8-1 going into the bye week. Now coming out of the bye week, we're going to Mexico to play the Patriots. In week 11. That, I believe they're going to be up for big. That is going to be a big game. That is almost going to be like a pre-playoff game. The Patriots, I believe, are going to be a little down this season. I don't think they're going to be as up as everybody thinks they are. Believe you're going to start to see a little of the chinks in the armor and the aura of all that starts to come crashing down. So, I totally believe that. I mean, Father Time is not undefeated, and Mr. Brady will start to feel it as well. So, I believe that's a W. So, now you're sitting at 9-1. Then you got Denver at home and the Giants at home. This again is where I'm worried is this little homestand as well. Because this is another spot where you see them having a phenomenal record, coming back off a big emotional win, and you got a double homestand. And then you go to Kansas City in December. Backed up by Dallas at the Coliseum. So let's look at that. Coming out of the bye week, you're 8-1. Got New England. I think with the 2 weeks preparation and the emotional hype that will be around that game, the ending of the dynasty, all of the storylines that will be pumped into that game, if both teams are what both teams are expected to be this season, all of the hype that will be pumped into that game, I think they're going to be up for it big. I think that's a W. That puts them at 9-1. The Denver and Giants. Like I said, this is another interesting one. You hope the clunker does not end up being against the division rival. If you're going to have one, you hope it's the Giants. But I, again, see this as a prime situational spot to have one of those clunkers where something goes wrong at the end of the game. Just something. So I believe we pick up the second loss through there. At Kansas City, I see the Raiders again being up big for the Kansas City games, both of them this season. I believe, predicting a Kansas City sweep. Denver, I'm iffy on. The only reason I'm iffy on Denver is because of the second game and the situation of the second game. That's the only reason. It's just because of the situation. You have a game like New England, the New England game, where they're going to be on the road. They're going to be hyped for it. Man, you never know. It's painful when you got to try to look at these schedules because you know they're not going to be 16-0. So you got to look and be like, where? Because it's a very difficult schedule. It's a difficult schedule, but I do like the way it lays out going in the first part into the bye week. Like I said, I think they can go into the bye week with one loss. But I see them probably dropping 2 in the after the bye week in the final 7 games. The bye week is in week 10, Craig. Bye week's in week 10. So you got Tennessee, week 1. Jets, week 2. Week 3, you have Washington. Week 4, you got Denver. 5, you got Baltimore. 6 is the Chargers. 7, the Chiefs. 8, Buffalo. 9, Miami. And then you got the bye week. Now coming out of the bye week, it's a rough road. It's a rough road. You got New England and Mexico. Then we come home and play the Denver and the Giants. Then we go to Kansas City. Then come back home to play Dallas. And then finish the season with 2 road games against the Eagles and against the Chargers. So the end is a tough road. And the end is full of teams that, if you have to look at the 2 conferences, these are teams that all, except for the Chargers, are all teams that are considered to be in the playoff hunt this season. So to think that we're just going to run the table on that is unrealistic. Any given Sunday. Now, I do not foresee any blowouts this season. I do not see that happening at all. I don't see that happening. I think we're going to, any of the games that we lose will be small things where you just, little mistakes that are made that cost you at the end of games. I think it's going to be that kind of stuff this season. I think we're going to be a scoring juggernaut. I think the defense is going to be a lot better. But like I said, any given Sunday, you got them clunker games. Things happen. Things happen. And maybe he's maybe King Eddie is right. Maybe it's the going back east, where they hit the clunker game with the double back east games. Although last season they proved to be the road warriors, and they were really, really good on the road. They could seem to, they go into somebody's house and kick ass and take names. And, I believe we're going to continue a little bit of that trend. So I think coming back off of those big emotional wins is when you're going to see a little bit of a possible letdown because, so much was spent the week prior. So I'm predicting us at 13-3. That's what I'm on the record for. 13-3. And that's what I'm on the record for. I think we're going to go 13-3 this season. Now, obviously think that's going to win us the West. And it's going to be up to how the other teams in the conference do as to whether that's a 1 or a 2 seed. But I do believe it's going to be a 1 or a 2 seed. It's going to garner us a first round bye. It's just going to come down to whether 13-3 is good enough to get you home field advantage throughout. Does another team go 14-2? The sad thing is when you're looking at the Patriots' schedule, you know that they've got the capabilities of going 6-0 in their own division because they're the crappiest division in the league, let alone the AFC. The absolute crappiest division. I mean, come on, you played Buffalo twice. You play the Jets twice. The biggest challenge you have in your division is the Dolphins. And at worst, mind you, you're going to split with the Dolphins. So that's 5. That's 5 wins you're going to come away with next season. Looking at the schedule right now, right out of the gate. That's 5. Give them 5. You only need 10, basically, to secure yourself a spot. And, they're in. They're halfway there. They're halfway there before they've even got out of the locker room. They're halfway there. I mean, there's no competition in that division. The Bills are a mess. They fired the Ryan project, got rid of all that. So, I mean, they don't know what they're doing at quarterback. Their wide receivers are busted up. Every rookie that they've drafted is falling apart. They're a mess. Then you got the Jets. Come on. The Jets? They drafted Christian Hackenberg last season. They don't know what to do with him. He's like the shiny new toy you go and buy at the store. You saved up all your money, got this shiny new toy. You go and open it up and realize it's from China. It's a piece of crap. And you're like, man, I just spent all my money on this. That's Christian Hackenberg. That's how the Jets feel about him. They're like, oh man, we spent all our money on him. What are we gonna do, guys? Because there ain't nobody in this draft worth spit. So they're like, well, let's go sign Josh McCown, man. Everybody signs Josh McCown. Let's just do what everybody else does. We'll just go sign Josh McCown. He'll fix the problem for this season. We'll draft somebody next season. That way we'll be assured we'll get a really good draft pick. Josh McCown can weather the storm for the season, but he's not going to lead us anywhere. So we'll wait a couple games, and they're a joke. Now, the Dolphins have actually improved a little bit. So as I'm saying, I could see maybe the Dolphins steal a game from them, but that's about it. So they benefit from being in the easiest division by far. That's why I think they're going to be our competition for the number 1 seed, only because of their schedule and the division in which they play. Our division is stout. I mean, even the chokers who are going to be at the bottom this season, Rivers has the capability to crack off a 400-yard game on you on any given Sunday. I mean, as much as I don't like the guy in his little bolo tie, he's a baller, and he can throw. He can throw the ball. And any given Sunday, sometimes your receivers just come down with it. And that's just the way it is. You know, sometimes the football gods just reach down and say, oh, here you go. And there's really nothing you can do about it. And, yeah, it's infuriating when you think about it. You know, we've had Super Bowls coming out of our division that we got to battle up against. They got nothing. Nothing. You look back over the course of the last 15 years, and who's won that division? It's the Patriots. Damn near every year. Every year. There's no competition there. There hasn't been. There's going to be none this season. Maybe the Dolphins could steal a game from them. But that's going to be it. So, when you're looking across the table, looking past the regular season, because I believe we're going to get in the playoffs. I think we're a lock for the playoffs. Knock on wood. Barring any bad juju or what have you going down, major injuries, what have you. Even that, I feel we've really filled the holes and addressed the weaknesses team-wide where we need them. What it comes down to right now is really how these young kids on the defense step up. Jack Del Rio has been on the record as saying that Conley looks like a very gifted kid, and he's impressed with the way he looks on the field thus far. He's predicted big things for Mario Edwards Jr. this season. You know, we've added Obi. You've got Reggie Nelson and Joseph coming back at the safeties. You're adding Obi in, who's possible, hybrid corner as well. Can slide him back and forth between corner and safety. The kid's just athletic, and he's kind of a Swiss Army knife at defensive back. You can use him. I think you're gonna get a better Emerson. I think you're gonna get a better Smith this season. Smith he had a rough season last season, and I don't know how many times I'm gonna say it, but I'm moving. Rod Woodson coaching the corners is gonna make a difference this season. It's gonna make a difference. I'm telling you. It's Rod Woodson. The guy, he's just, I think it's going to make a difference this season. He's going to be in the ear of these two when they're out there on the field, and I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be good. But that's what I said. That's what it comes down to. It's how these young guys. I mean, we addressed the holes, but it's how the players perform that you address the holes with is what's going to really be the key to this season. Our offense is going to be dynamic. We did not really change. I mean, we added things. We added, obviously, Marshawn Lynch, BeastMode, who is a huge upgrade at the running back position. But we didn't change a lot of the mechanics of how the player in that position is going to work. What's up, Sergio? Yes, sir. And you got the other two running backs are the same. You added in a tight end who's just a better receiving tight end, a better playmaking tight end out in the field. The wide receivers really aren't changing. You're going to have Cordarrelle Patterson to mix in there with Seth Roberts. Possibly take the number 3 from Seth Roberts. So you've added little tweaks to the offense, but the offensive line is still as a whole. Carr, your basic unit on offense is still the same and intact as the team that went 12-4 last season. One of those games being without Derek Carr. Should have been 13-3. Would have been 13-3 if Derek Carr had been there in the final week. We all know that. Everybody knows that. There's not a donkey in the world that could say different and believe it. So, you know, I think it's realistic. I think it's realistic. Absolutely. Think it's realistic. Oh, Perry, you're crazy. So, like I said, 13-3. I feel that's good. It's basically, like I said, it's coming down to whether we get that number 1 or that number 2. And there's going to be a showdown in the playoffs. And, you know, if our defense improves and the kids that we stuck in the positions perform, Lee performs, Conley, Obi, you know, some of these guys step up. Guys on the line, some of these guys just need to step up. Jelani Jenkins. You know, Jenkins is... He's one I questioned a little bit when we signed him. He's been banged up a lot. But, you know, so I'm saying, if these guys step up, we addressed all of the positions. We addressed all of the problems, but they've got to step up. Got to step up. If they step up, it's going to be big. It's going to be big. Middle linebacker does need to be addressed, Craig. But if you look at it, they kind of have addressed it a little bit. You know, they drafted Lee, and they're healthy. Corey James coming back. They got Ben Heaney. Marquell Lee. If that's the thing, is if the holes have been addressed, but it requires the guys that are there to perform. So if Corey James can perform, if Marquell Lee, the rookie, can perform, not really, Perry. There hasn't really been any word on Perry Riley Jr. You heard Bruce Irvin calling for him last week through Twitter, but it's been nothing more than that. I honestly thought they were going to bring Perry Riley Jr. back, but the longer it just keeps going and going, so I have no idea anymore. I thought they would have surely took a tender on him. They didn't do that. Just kept going. Just kept going, so the fact that Perry Riley Jr. is still out there just baffles me a little bit. The fact that we're even still having the conversation about the guy because he's even still out on the, you know, available and on the market seems a little baffling to me. He's solid. Who can't use a good serviceable middle linebacker? That one baffles me. I mean, he played great last season. I thought he was solid. I don't know if it probably is a money thing, but the thing is, the longer Perry Riley sits out there, maybe he realizes he needs to come on back home and just take what's being offered, which I'm sure is not terrible money. What's up, David? So, but you're probably right, Craig. I'm sure it is a money thing. Because they've got the Derek Carr contract, they've got the Gabe Jackson contract that they've got to work out. Those are big. Those got to get done, in the next 4 weeks or so. So, and those are big. You obviously, we all heard the numbers for the Carr deal. $150 million, $50 million fully guaranteed. Signing bonus of $35 million. Carr's getting paid. DC gonna be around for a minute. He's not going nowhere, and that's a beautiful thing to know that we're gonna get to see that. That's a beautiful thing. And Gabe Jackson's gonna get paid too. So I don't know what he's gonna get paid, but he's gonna get paid a substantial chunk of change as well. That's for sure. So It probably does come down to money with Perry Riley Jr. Maybe he's just asking for a little too much, but I don't know how much he could be asking for. Because he can't be demanding that much money. I mean, seriously, I would hope not. If not, he's being a fool and he's pricing himself out of the market. But I can't see where Perry Riley Jr. would be trying to strong-arm somebody with an exorbitant amount of money. But, what do I know? Maybe he is. Maybe Perry Riley Jr. is like, I'm boss man, pay me. But I doubt that. I don't see that as the case. I kind of doubt that very highly. So, but 5-year, $40 million. Chuck says. Is that just a guess, or have you heard any rumors, Chuck? I agree, Perry. I would like him back. I thought we were going to bring him back. I really did. Oh, yeah. Well, yes. Elijah Hood, running back. He's solid. So far, I've heard good things about him as well. They're saying so far what people are projecting anyway for the running back position is the guy that's probably just an estimate. Seems fair. That seems like a fair estimate. He's going to get paid, that's for sure, Chuck. But Elijah Hood, it looks like they're going to give the kid a shot. He's probably going to make the team. He's probably going to be the last running back, and it could possibly be Taiwan Jones is the one that's the odd man out. Which is a bummer. Taiwan is, I like him. He's just a natural little athlete, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Unfortunate. But he may be the odd man out. I mean, that's what happens. The rookie's got to have a spot. There's only 53 spots on the roster, and somebody's got to go. Marshawn Lynch is going to be there. DeAndre Washington and Jalen Richard have both earned their spot last season to be on the team. And Hood will probably grab the 4th spot, along with, obviously, Alawale at fullback. So, it's just the way it is. And unfortunately, Taiwan is probably going to be the odd man out. But so far, good things have been said about Mr. Hood being on the field. So, should be all right. Probably. I agree, Chuck. And then that's why Taiwan's always been so good. I mean, they've stuck him at running back. They stuck him at defensive back. They moved him around at kick return. The kid's just a natural athlete. That's why he's always managed to stay on the team. I mean, they've tried him at running back. He's had these flashes where you thought, like, maybe he could be something. But I just think this season he's just going to be the odd man out. Because I think they're going to really want to try this rookie. And Taiwan has had several years to show some greatness, and he's just been okay. So, I think this season may be it for him. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe they value his versatility and his special teams play. And that gets him on the roster. Possibly. Possibly. We'll have to wait and see. It's special teams play can sometimes get you on the team. Absolutely. It can sometimes get you on the team. Like I said, I think we'll be much improved. The defensive back position. I think we're going to be much improved there. Haven't really heard too much out of the Conley story lately. It's kind of went dead. DNA testing's still out, and there's been no new news on that front. It's been kind of quiet on that, which has been kind of nice because he's in camp, and he's with the team, and not having that distraction has probably been kind of nice, because it's the heat on that story has really kind of died down. So I'm sure that's helpful. That's helpful for him getting prepared, and figuring out what he needs to do, because that young man is going to get thrown into a very, very difficult position on a very, very good team against stiff opposition. He's going to get tested, and he's going to get tested quick. So he better be ready. We don't need him having distractions. We need him focused on football, Raider football. That's all he needs to be focused on at all. Period. Now, owners' meetings obviously were Monday and Tuesday, for those who didn't know. And one of the things I was taken care of was the owners unanimously approving the 30-year lease for the Vegas stadium. It's another hurdle over for the move to Vegas. Every hurdle that they have encountered, they have cleared quickly and easily. Everything that has happened so far has happened quickly. I mark my words, though. They need to be breaking ground, moving on that site right after the first of the year, if we're going to be playing in that thing in 2020. The construction schedule that they have dictates they need to be breaking dirt then, and if they don't break dirt then, that season's in jeopardy, and it would be 2021 before we played in it. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on that, because that's going to be coming quicker than you think. January 1st is not that far off. It'll be here quicker than you think. And if you don't hear news of them on the site, digging, getting to work, setting up shop, then be concerned. Be concerned. That's pretty much the deadline. January 1st, you should start hearing something. You should see something. What's up, Weimer? So, it is what it is. We'll have to keep an eye on it. But this, like I said, every hurdle they've had, everything that they should have done so far on the timeline to get this thing through, we've been looking at it like, oh, they need to get this done before this date. Oh, yeah, and they did it. Oh, they need to get this done before this date. Oh, well, they did it. Oh, but if they don't get the lease ready, oh, but they did it. But what if the owners? But they didn't. But yeah. I hope you're correct, Chuck. I hope you're correct. But as a man who has spent my entire career in that field, I have seen things. Let's just say it's a tight schedule for the build that it is. And if there's any bumps in the road, they need the entire schedule, because any day after January, it starts compressing that 30-month schedule. And that's where you start to see the issue. It's not that they can't get it done. And yeah, 30 months. It's basically a 30-month schedule. So if you look at, that's what I'm saying, if you look at the build schedule and you back it up from where they would need to be able to be in the facility to start using it for the 2020 season, that puts you right at January 1st. They need to be in there working, moving on the site, action going, build started. Exactly, that's the question. That's the question, Perry. That's the question. That is the question. So, we don't want it to get to that. We don't want it to get to that. What we're hoping is, in the perfect world, because obviously the move sucks for the Oakland faithful, for the fans that have the Raiders now. in their backyard, down the street from them. Obviously, this is a painful, terrible move. What we're hoping is best case scenario that the Raiders are going to win 1 or 2 in Oakland. We're going to make the move, stick around and through, 17, 18, and 19, and then in 2020 leave and go to Vegas. That's the best case scenario. That's what we want to happen. Hoist another Lombardi Trophy in Oakland, and then go there. Probably, if the most likely would be the UNLV current stadium, is where the Raiders would take up shop and use temporarily. There was talk of that they could, within several months of renovations, they could turn that stadium into an NFL-ready stadium with some quick renovations on it. So that was also a contingency plan to have a place for them to be. But there's several contingency plans. The Raiders will have somewhere to play. We don't want them to start to be nomads for a couple of seasons, having to be shuffled around while their stadium's getting finished up. We don't want that. It needs to be ready for the 2020 season. It's already going to be a difficult breakup with Oakland and the leaving of there and everything. Of course it's garbage, Craig, but they're saying they would sink hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars into that stadium to make it decent enough to use for possibly one season if they had to, or part of a season. Of course, that would suck. Obviously, it would suck. That's what I'm saying. Nobody wants to see the team to be a team of nomads for a couple seasons and in flux because, we've pissed off the city of Oakland because we're leaving. Joy Weimer was up. So, it's just imperative that we get it done. Which, like I said, is positive that everything on the timeline to move this thing along as fast as possible has been hit, which is phenomenal. Everything has been hit on the timeline that it should be. So, no reason to think that this won't move, but it's just imperative that it does. The first of the year, that it really need to see shovels in the ground, things moving. Need to see it. Absolutely need to see it. Because we don't want to get into that. Because that's just going to get ugly. You already got, you got the wife. And you're getting a divorce. But you can't move in with the girlfriend yet. And the girlfriend's house is getting bombed or something. So, you're like, I can't go to the girlfriend's house. Can I stay with you for a little bit longer? I mean, that's kind of like what it would be. So we don't want to get into none of that. We need to just stay with Oakland. Because we're already going to have to come talk about the 2019 season. Because technically we don't have a lease through that. So, that's already going to be an interesting conversation anyway. For that season. So, it is what it is. What's up? Thanks for sharing, guys. Thanks for sharing. Like it up. Always appreciate you sharing. Spread the word. Grow the audience. Appreciate you guys stopping in. As always, every single weeknight, 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. Right here, Raider Reaction. Of course. Every Monday and Wednesday, we got Ghost of the Post. As Prime joins me, because we go deep league wide. Every Monday and Wednesday. So, and man, can't wait till we get some actual football action. We got some real juice to get into. Just right now, we're just scraping for some news. We're talking about guys' new cleats they got at practice. Oh, Chuck, you funny. So, some interesting news. The Pro Bowl is going to return to the Orlando area, which I am stoked about it. Thank you, Perry, Mr. Raider Popeye. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, Perry, how far do you live from where the Titans play? Because you live in Tennessee, correct? So how far do you live from where the Titans play? I'm just curious. What about the Sea of Hands, Lynn? It was another awesome, great, historical game from the Raiders. Goes to the Post is just what we call our segment that we have. We go deep league wide with my special guest Prime that I have on Monday and Wednesdays. We decided we wanted to name the feature something Raider related, and Goes to the Post just had a nice ring to it because we go deep league wide. So we just thought it had a nice ring to it. Just thought we had a nice ring to it. 1 hour. Well, that's close enough. But, like I was saying, the Pro Bowl is being moved to Orlando. So, last season, I planned to take my son to the Pro Bowl because I don't live far. And then everybody fell out. Carr got hurt. Penn got hurt. Mac wasn't going to be there. So there was like, it was like a punter and a lineman. So we didn't end up going, and I wanted to go, and then the way the season ended up, and it was such a great season, and the Pro Bowl was just at a bad time because Carr got hurt, nobody was going to be at the Pro Bowl, our season was over, it was just a crappy time. I didn't want to go to the damn Pro Bowl, but then afterwards I was like, man, I should have took my son to the Pro Bowl. So I'm glad to hear that it's going to be back there. Because it's going to be at Disney, Wide World of Sports, I believe, again, Camping World Stadium in Orlando is where it's going to be. But they had the skills competition again last season. Everybody said it was much better, and they're going to do a lot more of that this season, so it should be a good time. So, if you're living, any of you that live up north and don't have the leisure of living in the Sunshine State where it's gorgeous weather 12 months a year, plan on coming down here in January, February for the Pro Bowl. Looks like it will be January 28th. Will be the 2018 Pro Bowl. So get it on your calendar while you're up there freezing. You can come down here, watch some football, kick it. Moving back to Florida. Where are you moving to? But so that was cool. Cool news for my area, little area of the world. Because we just found out we're getting the Super Bowl in 2021, and then we're getting the Pro Bowl again. So that's some nice little extra NFL flavor in my backyard. So that makes the commish very happy. So we kind of broke down the offense tonight, and basically kind of the whole team there, and looked at the schedule. Like I said, I'm positive at 13-3. I feel really good at predicting 13-3. I feel really good about predicting MVP for Derek Carr. I feel great about predicting a Raiders Super Bowl win. So, you can put me on record for all of that. Absolutely, because I believe it's all going to happen. I think this is going to be one of those seasons that we have all been waiting for. Oh, I'm going to the Dolphins game for sure. Oh, yes, I'll be at the Dolphins game, 100%. All of us will be there. All of us. Even maybe my new little guy. I don't know. He might be a little too little for the Dolphins game. That's what's going to restrict me a little on games this season. But I'm working on I want to be at the opener. I want to be at the season opener in Tennessee. I want to come there. I want to live stream it. I want to interview everybody before the game and just go around and just interview a whole bunch of Raiders fans, live stream it all, and then get reactions after the game as well. And so, I'd like to road trip up there, maybe grab some Raiders fans, Florida Raider Nation that are heading that way, make a road trip, stream some of that action, just make a whole event out of it and go up for the season opener. That's what I would like to do, but we'll have to see. I'm playing it by ear. I have a new son who's a week old. so I'm playing it by ear. But the Dolphins game, for sure. There's no way. I'm not missing that. That's too close. That's too close. Absolutely. So, I got to make that happen. Now, finish the show, as I always do when I'm flying solo by myself. I like to finish my editions with my WTH. My WTH for this edition involves a quarterback who got paid a lot of money to go to the Texans when he had proven nothing. They just freaking, it's like marrying your Tinder date, I guess, before you even go on the date, just from what you've seen on the screen. The Texans give a boatload of money to Osweiler, and then they basically give him away to Cleveland. Cleveland overpaid for him to bring what he's there. And Cleveland goes and gets Kaiser, so, drafts him, so you don't even know if they're going to play Osweiler. Osweiler's coming out and telling everybody, oh, just look at my tape. Just look at my tape. Look at your tape of what? Your tape of you getting sacked 5 times by Khalil Mack? The tape of you losing your starting job to Tom frickin' Savage? What tape are we supposed to look at, Brock? Look at my tape. Come on, man. Look at my tape. Get out of here. I should be the starting quarterback. Go look at my tape, says Brock Osweiler. Are you kidding me? I mean, everybody in the football world was looking at Brock Osweiler thinking the same thing. The same thing. Brock. What the hell? We were all thinking it. So, it's Thursday night. I'll be right back here tomorrow night, closing it out on a Black Friday. Here every single weeknight. Because what do? From 7 to 9 Pacific, from 10 to 12 Eastern. We go coast to coast. We start right here with a solid hour with the commission, Raider Reaction, on the East Coast. And then we go deep to the West Coast for another hour with the infamous Raider Bear. Raider Bear's getting ready to take it over. Finish out coast to coast for Thursday night. Thanks for joining me. All of the Raider Reaction webcasts are archived on the YouTube page. Hardcore Challenge Live Studio Webcasts. They're all archived there. Go check out all the old flavor from last season, all the old vintage episodes, live footage from games I was at before, doing interviews and what have you. But every episode's always uploaded there about a day or so after they're on here. So, as always, thanks for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow. Got some special little Black Friday flavor for you. Thank you guys. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, everybody that joined me tonight. As always, I appreciate the silver and black love. Thanks, Perry. Peace. Love. Raider Nation.